Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our KotlinConf party keynote presenter, Michael Carducci.
Hey everybody. How about that? I'll try it again. Good evening, everybody. All right. How's it been so far? All right, come on, let's feel a little bit of energy. I know it's been a long day. I gotta build you back up. This is the party keynote. So one more time, all together. Yeah! Yeah! I know what you're thinking. What on earth is a party keynote? Well, I'll tell you what it is. Basically, we're gonna do something different. I mean, I could stand up here and talk about technology. I've been a software developer on and off for the last 2 decades. So I could certainly talk about some of these technologies. I've actually been using JetBrains products since almost the beginning, since the early 2000s. So I could certainly talk about a couple of these things. By all accounts, I have a pretty standard tech resume. In fact, this is a pretty standard tech resume, right? Actually, it's a funny story behind that resume. I wasn't really looking for a job, and one day I was out on Stack Overflow, and I saw a job pop up. They were looking for a code warrior. And I read the job description. It was pretty tongue-in-cheek, and I thought, okay, you want a code warrior? I will give you a code warrior. And I put that together, but I just didn't put it together like that. I did like a full-on manila envelope, stamped confidential. The photo was pinned in there. Below all that, by the way, it had like mission history, and when you open it up on the other side, it had confirmed kills. It was like the coolest resume I've ever put together. And I sent it in, and I know it was cool because I FedExed it into the office. It arrived at 10:21 a.m. That's when the recipient, the hiring manager, signed for it. At 10:27 a.m., my phone rang. All right, this is my forever resume. This is what I'm going to use for every job now for life, and I have. And it's actually proved to be a really useful heuristic. Because if you don't like the resume, you're probably not going to like me. In fact, one time I gave a talk at a local jug, and I had that up there, and somebody said, you know, if I got that resume on my desk, I would throw it straight in the trash. And I looked at her, I said, I know where you work. I would want you to throw that straight in the trash. I'm not going to mention any names, but it was one of those burn and churn shops. We all are familiar with the ones in our area. It was that kind of company. So it's a useful heuristic in that process. And I'm a big fan of heuristics in the hiring process on both sides. In fact, maybe you've had this happen to you. You walked into the office, last day of the sprint. Of course, it's the last day of the sprint. Big stack of resumes like this. Somebody decided, oh, let's put a little job ad up on Dice. Let's see if we get a couple resumes. You got a stack like this. Last day of the sprint, little yellow sticky note right on top says, give me your top 3 by EOD, smiley face. Are you kidding me? So here's my tip, and you can take this away. You can do this. I'm going to give it to you. I take half of the resumes every single time. I take the top half, I throw them straight in the trash. The reason is I don't want to hire anybody who's unlucky. And it works. But I'm not here to talk about technology. I'm not here to talk about software. I'm here to talk about my other job. In 2014, I quit my day job to be a full-time magician. I was what they call a part-time pro for from about 1997 on to 2014. Finally, I decided that my heart's not in it. In fact, that's what I said. I knocked on my boss's door one day, and I said, Robert, my heart's not in it. And he said, I know. And I worked out my project, and I've been doing this full-time ever since. You know, I started out, I got my big start in show business at the House Magician at TGI Fridays, you know, because dreams really do come true. But this is what I do. I travel the world, and I perform. But the cruel irony of life is I quit my day job in 2014. I write more code now than I ever did as a corporate coder. That's just kind of how things went. And I already know what you're thinking. Why magic? Well, there's a whole group in here, right? There's 3 groups, really, when you break it down. Everybody's kind of thinking, why magic? But you've got a couple different, distinct personality types. About a third of this room heard magic, and they're like, all right, I love magic. A third of this room, they don't know what to think. The last time they saw a magician was like at Timmy's 6th birthday party, and they're just like, why is he here? My favorite third, though, are the hardcore thinkers, the hardcore engineers in this room who heard magic, and they're like, magic, huh? Good luck. But no, seriously, why magic? How does it make any sense in this context? Well, the truth is we deal with the inexplicable every day. Like, on what planet does any of that make sense? So we get it. Arthur C. Clarke said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So broadly defined, magic is any experience where cause and effect seem broken. Maybe this is a familiar situation. You've got somebody on your team, they're a little green, they made a couple mistakes, and it's your job to clean some of those mistakes up. Common situation, basically, you might have seen this before, front end, too tightly coupled. When you pull that, that happens. When you pull that, that happens. So what do? We refactor. Go in there, decouple that front end, and we ship it. Who needs tests? Ship it, over the wall. And yet, you know, Albert Einstein supposedly said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We call that debugging. So we decouple. Maybe we write a test this time, and yet. Okay, all right, I realize, okay, I'm in a room full of engineers. No, I don't need your pity. I have one rule about applause, either all together or not at all. You know what's going on. This is a room full of engineers. You've seen this before. The problem obviously isn't a tightly coupled front end. There are people in this room right now who are thinking, of course, it's probably a tightly coupled back end. And I'll be honest, if you're thinking that right now, I'd rather you just mind your own damn business. But you know what, let's fix this. Front and center, what's your name, sir? Good name. Mike, grab the scissors, please. We're going to do some pair programming on this. If you would, just cut. Thank you. Give them a round of applause, everybody. Yeah. Look at that. Efficient, friendly, the kind of guy I want on my team. But he didn't test it. You know, we can even separate these in time and space. You know, Mike, I'm going to let you try this again. I don't want to embarrass you. Would you come up and maybe give me a little hand here? Just pull gently on that tassel. Yeah, pull it gently down. You can let go. That's, all right, this totally worked in dev. Dude, you broke my sticks. You're not allowed to touch my code ever again. Thank you. It's funny, I worked somewhere. I had the nickname Magic Mike. There was already a Mike and a Michael at this company, so I became Magic Mike. And there were people who never knew, we all worked remote, so a lot of people never knew what I did for a living. And they always made jokes. Well, oh, Magic Mike has something up his sleeve. No, I never have anything up my sleeve. It's too predictable. Everybody always thinks it has something to do with your sleeves. I keep my little something up my pant leg, because sometimes all you really need is a little something extra when that happens. Let's just try to. Thank you. You know what? If I leave that tassel there, it's going to drive me nuts for the rest of the day, so we'll just get rid of that. Yeah, so broadly defined, any experience where cause and effect seems broken. So ultimately, this is why I think it's not too irrelevant. Other than that, other than these types of things, these situations we deal with every day, magic ultimately is an engineering problem with difficult requirements. I mean, ideally impossible requirements, but somehow we do manage to ship this. I get asked all the time, they say, how do you come up with new magic tricks? It's a pretty simple process. You start with the most impossible thing you can imagine, figure out a way to make it possible, and perform it. Simple as that. More succinctly, it looks something like that. And I'm bringing this up because does this sound remotely familiar to anybody in this room? Right. Exactly. Every single sprint, we get ridiculously impossible requirements from the product owner. Then we as a team have to figure out a way to make it possible, and we ship it. And that's what we do every 2 weeks. But the key here is impossible. This is what makes it good. This is what makes it worthwhile. And here, I'm going to pick somebody on the up front somewhere here. You were up here last time, Mike. Throw that to somebody else who can come up here pretty easily. Come up towards the front. Good catch. Come on down. Give her a round of applause. A little warm-up. And I always tell everybody, actually, that right there, that's the easy one. The difficult one, of course, is to go up. And you don't have to come up here. But the important, no, you can stay there. It's fine. But the important thing is they're all there. They're all different. Yep. Here, have a look at that. Grab any card. Don't let the camera behind you see it. It makes it really easy for me. It's way too easy when I know that she's got the 3 of hearts. Yeah, you could show that to him. It's fine. But I want you to sign your name on that card, if you would, please. Really big, so everybody can see that. The key is impossible. You can make something entertaining. You can make something impressive. But what you're really going, thank you for capping the pen, by the way. I'm kidding. What you're really going for is impossible. So give these a quick mix. And if you would, just put that card anywhere you like. And they don't break the booze out until later on, so good. Get it all the way in there. So it is well and truly lost. This is actually, you might have made that a little difficult for me. I have no idea where it is. Let's see if we can find it. All right. Oh, thank you. Actually, before you sit down, that was all right. That was okay. That was cool. That was impressive. I mean, obviously, that was very difficult to take a card that somebody signed and from the middle do a little move like that to bring it back to the top so you can keep track of it. Oh, that was a little fast. I'm sorry. I'll do that again. I'll do that slower and one-handed. So it starts here, goes into the middle. That's the move that brings it back to the top, and now I can keep track of it. So obviously, yeah. So it's impressive, but you know it's sleight of hand. So let's do this under test conditions. Let's take your card. What's your name? I'm sorry. Oh, perfect. I should have read that. We got your card with your name on it. Why don't you just take those before you push it in? That way, you know I'm not palming it out or doing something sneaky. Push that in. Turn the deck over and mix them up. This way, test conditions, right? Because it's not enough to be impressive. It's not enough just to be a show of dexterity. It's got to be impossible. And I think, I'm not even looking, because otherwise I could be keeping track of the shuffle, doing shuffle tracking and some kind of predictive analysis and things like that, depending on what style of shuffle it is. We could be using big data, AI. I was at an event a couple weeks ago, and somebody had a slide up, and they're talking about their digitization strategy, and they basically just got every buzzword that's around right now. We're going to use microservices. We're going to use blockchain. We're going to use IoT. We're going to use big data. And they just did everything on the slide. I saw that slide. It took everything I had in me not to say, bingo! All right, lost in there. You didn't palm it out. You didn't sneak it away, because people do that sometimes. They love to. No other form of entertainment in the world. As a magician, people wake up sometimes and they're like, you know what would be fun? If I screwed up the magician today. And I'm not trying to point fingers, but it is usually this crowd. Engineers love to break things. All right, so it's in there. And well and truly lost. You shuffled. Did you cut? All right, well, we're cut. So like I said, the key is impossible. That's what we're going for. So in there somewhere, and you mixed it in there, I don't know exactly where, but in here somewhere is your card. So the only possible thing I could think of is before the show tonight, and I don't know if you can see this, I ordered Amazon Prime. You can hold on to these, by the way. And I didn't get much, but do you like peanuts by any chance? Okay. I didn't get much, but I did get these. Just regular salted ones. It's fine, right? Those. Take the lid off. You can make sure they're sealed. I guess we're done with that. Yeah, go ahead and shove that to the camera. Why not? You can pop the seal on that if you want. You can come up here if you want. Here, go ahead, dump them out. Keep going. Just like cereal, there's a prize in the bottom. All the way out, empty it out. Thank you. You can keep those too. Here, you can keep those cards. Give her one more round of applause, everybody. And that's not a bad reaction for a software engineer. Usually the best you can hope for when you have a software engineer and you do a magic trick for him is this. Huh. Like if you ever watch TV, you watch like one of these David Blaine TV specials or Chris Angel, you see people freaking out and running away. Software engineers? Huh. That used to bother me, and then I realized something. That sound, huh, is the sound of something breaking. I did a 3-day conference. I didn't have dinner, sorry. I did a 3-day conference a while back. Friday night, I did something. This was one of the first times I ever got a huh. I was like, that's it? Huh? Do you realize what just happened? Huh? That's all I get? Internally, of course. Like, on the outside, I'm just kind of composed. Huh? And then I saw that person again on Sunday, the 3rd day of the conference, wearing the same clothes. Bags under his eyes. And he came up to me and says, I think I figured it out. And he wrote out his theory. I said, no, sorry. Because remember, the bag was, whatever I did. I'm like, remember it was sealed. He's like, might have seen a tear form. But I love magic. I always have. It's my number one passion. But my late mentor was very fond of saying, there are many rooms in the house of magic. There are many styles of magic. I mentioned earlier, people were thinking, were kind of hearkening back to maybe like a birthday clown they had who did a couple tricks. That's a style of magic, children's magic. What I did up here, that's a style of magic. My passion, though, magic-wise, is mentalism. A couple famous mentalists in the world today. Max Maven is one. Darren Brown is another one. These are performers who create this illusion of being able to read minds. Right? It's a very specialized branch of magic. There's not a lot of sleight of hand, but the magic tends to happen inside of people's mind. Mentalism, the best way I've heard this put, mentalism is essentially using your 5 senses to create the illusion of a 6th. And I wish I knew who had said that, but I think it's a great quote. It really sums it up nicely. And there's a lot of tools we have. And everybody in this room is fairly well educated. We've learned about a number of different topics. A lot of software engineers tend to be autodidacts. They taught themselves a lot of the technologies that they work with. And so you learn a lot of other things as well. So you understand some of these principles, some of these concepts. One of the most basic ones is cueing and priming and suggestion. Where's that paper ball I threw out, by the way? Is that out there? Go ahead and throw that to somebody else. I want to get somebody at random. Oh, there it is. We got it. And don't fight over it. But come on down, sir. Give him a round of applause. We're going to try something. So the idea... Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Engineers love this kind of thing. Here, hop up, hop up. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike. You can hold on to that paper ball, too. That's okay. They're going to think we set this up. But here, take this. Just hold that with your left hand, arm's length, all the way up. Like this. Thank you. So this is kind of the most basic aspect of it. All right, hang on. Like I said, sometimes people really want to screw you up. I want everybody to kind of see these, so I brought the big carts. And they're all there. They're all different. They're mixed up. Yeah, you can look. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start dealing them down on the table, and your job is to tell me when to stop. This is your free decision when you want me to stop. And it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of things that I have at my disposal in this type of situation. There's a lot of societal and social programming that people have. For example, people very, very rarely ever want to say anything while somebody else is talking. You see how that works? Would you like me to keep going? Because it's you who gets to say stop.
Oh.
But you can see how that works. And it's funny, every single time, people always universally say stop at that moment, this many cards down. And as soon as they do, I always stop and just kind of look at them for a second. And then let them realize what has just happened. And I give them a choice. I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to stay here, stopping precisely where I wanted you to stop? Do you want to go back? Or do you want to keep going? That is your free choice to make. Keep going, okay. And then whenever you feel like saying stop, and this time I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to... I'm going to give you one more free choice. Do you want that card or this card? Which card? I want to be very, very clear. The card that you stop me on, your card that you're stopping me on, is it that one or this one? I'm going to turn one over. Do you want me to turn this one over or that one over? This top card or that top card? Table or hand? Table?
Table.
For the rest of the night, you're going to wish you said hand. This is the hand card. If he would have kept going, this is where we would have kept going to. But he said stop on the table right here. Go ahead and pull what's in that bag out. There's one thing in there. You can't miss it. No, you can bring it in. Go ahead, pull it out. And turn it around and show them. Thank you. Again, I realize engineers are going to be thinking about this later. And there are actually very, very small printers that can silently and nearly instantly print something out that would probably fit in there. Although I wouldn't trust that because you're all probably on the Wi-Fi. So for this room, I want to do at least one low-tech thing. Super low-tech, super crude, the paper ball. Would you take it out of your pocket? And go ahead, unfold that.
It's tight.
Yeah. It's not my first paper ball. It's crude. It's low-tech. It's really tight. But it is. Upside down. There you go. The Jack of Spades, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Here, take that, crumple it up. You're going to pick our next victim. Just throw that to somebody else if you would. I want to make sure, because I know you're going to be thinking about this later. You're going to be thinking about maybe we set it up, maybe we whatever. This is why I'm trying to select almost everybody at random. Just throw that paper ball to somebody else. Anybody you don't like. Did you take the last of the coffee this morning? Is that why he doesn't like you? Come on down. Give him a round of applause. Do you play cards?
Yeah, sometimes.
Nice. All right. Do you play poker?
Blackjack.
Blackjack? All right. Would you say you have a good poker face?
No.
Good. Because another tool you have in your arsenal in the field of mentalism is micro-expressions. I think a lot of people in this room are familiar. Yes? Little revealing micro changes to one's face that reveal some inner thoughts. We'll try something here real simple. I don't want to make you pick a card because obviously I could do some shady thing. I'm just going to run my finger. By the way, they're all there. They're all different. They're all mixed up. Okay. Yes. I know you're thinking about this. I'm just going to run my finger down the pack. Just say stop. Before I run out of cards, sorry.
Stop.
Got it? Did you get it?
Yep.
All right. So you're thinking of one of those cards. You don't have one in the middle, right? You're not thinking of that one. You've got one in the middle. Yep. Actually, hold these. I don't even need these. The whole idea here is you try to read somebody's face. You try to read their expressions and figure some things out. So I'm going to stand across from you, and I want you to just picture your card hanging in the air. Like literally do this. Play along. Picture it hanging in the air. It's facing you. Can you between us? So you're facing me, and it's hanging right about here, about yay. Okay? Can you see it? Okay. On that card, picture the card. Picture the face of the card. Okay, really focus in on the bright, vivid colors on that card. Okay, did you see that immediate nod? Did you see? Anybody see that? Just little. There's like just a micro gesture. Like, got it. Did anybody see that? A couple people. Okay. You're gonna be watching for these now. That tells me something. That tells me that your card is a bright card. There are black cards and red cards. The red ones are the only ones that could really be described as bright. So you're thinking of a red card. Is that correct? All right. Picture the card again. Okay. Picture the number here and here. The numbers in the corners. Can you see them? Okay, now he's trying to put the poker face on. He's trying a little harder. He was very stiff, which tells me he was trying not to betray something. In this case, not to betray the fact that it really is a number card. There really is a number here and here. So it wasn't an ace, it wasn't a jack, it wasn't a queen, it wasn't a king. There was a number in the corner, correct? Okay. So picture that number. Say the word no. With conviction.
No.
Like I'm trying to take the last cupcake this morning.
No.
All right. Every time I say a number, I want you to say no. Ready? 2.
No.
3.
No.
4.
No.
5.
No.
6.
No.
You know you gave it away, don't you? 5. All right, we have one more thing, the suit. The suit. Picture the suit, okay? Could be one of either. It's a red card, so it's either a heart or a diamond. It could be a heart or it could be a diamond. 5 of diamonds? Give him a round of applause. Thank you. Here, I'll tell you what, you can keep these cards. But here's the thing. These are impressive as demonstrations, but nobody in this room would really feel like, well, that was impossible. You're just kind of like, okay, that's neat. It's a nice application of psychology. So you want to go a little further. You want to take all these things to put them all together and create the illusion maybe of ESP. We might need one more person. You got the paper ball? Your name isn't Mike, is it? Okay, good. Throw it, see if you can find a mic, I don't know. Throw it to one more person. That was a good shot. Who's got it? I don't care. Is your name Mike? That's okay. You can come up anyway. Give him a round of applause. I realize I gave away both of my smaller decks of cards. That's okay. You guys can keep those. I want to do this, though. It's probably better that we've got these cards. Because the truth is, you've seen a little bit of sleight of hand, and if you see me in the party tonight, I'm going to be doing more magic close-up for the rest of the evening if you're at the party afterwards. And it gets better and better because it looks like they got an open bar. I saw them unloading a truckload of booze. So for my shows, I always tell them there's a 2-drink minimum, no maximum. Right? The more you drink, the better it gets. There's actually a point where you don't even need me. I can go home. Most people, about 6 drinks, they don't even need me. They're still coming up with their own magic. But anyway, like I said, they're all there. They're all different. But I like the big cards because this is kind of a sleight of hand-proof deck. I mean, they're hard to shuffle. I challenge anybody to palm one of these suckers. But I want to put a few of these things together. Because if I just use the suggestion or the cueing or the priming, it's neat, it's interesting, but it's not magic. If I just try to read your expressions, it's neat, it's interesting, but it's not magic. Let's go a little further. I want to create a real illusion. Something that the mentalists for the last century and a half have called second sight. To be able to look through somebody else's eyes. Just, here, I've got a bunch. They're all there. They're all different. Just reach in, grab a clump of cards. Just grab a little handful. Yeah. That's the standard unit for cards, right? A clump. It's kind of like it's a gaggle of geese, only if they're walking. Fun fact, if they're in flight, it's a skein. But a clump of cards. Mix them up. I'm going to turn my back. And don't let the camera see, by the way, because there's a lot of cameras in this room right now. So make sure you're in a non-camera spot. And then I want you to fan the cards out so you can see all of them. Fan them out so you can see all the cards. I know, you've got 17. Which is a large value of clump, but it's still a clump. All right. Cast your eyes back and forth across those cards. And I'm not going to look, because sometimes I do this. I'm actually going to back up so I can get a little closer to you. I'm not going to look because sometimes I do this. People think they're marked cards. They're not, but even if they were, my back is turned. And I can't see the screens either. I mean, I can see that, but those are just my slides. This way I can't peek. I can't look at his facial expressions. There's no cameras behind him. This is probably as test conditions as it gets. But I want you to cast your eyes across every single card. I'm going to keep my back turned so I can't see the fronts or the backs or your face. But just look back and forth across the cards. Just pause and look at every single card as they go by. Okay, go back one. There was a black card as a 4, I think. Just stare at that 4. Okay, I think that was the 4 of clubs. Would you hand me the 4 of clubs? Oh, thank you. You remember my rule. You guys are awesome. All right, let's look again. Let's get another low-value card. These are easiest to spot. There's like a 2. No, go back to that 2. It was a red 2. Yeah, because there's a black 2 as well. It looked like you're looking at. There's 2 2s. I see 2 2s. A 2 of spades and a 2 of hearts. Would you hand me both of those 2s? All right, let's keep going. Oh, thank you. I'll tell you what, if you clap every single time, this is going to turn into a really long trick. So save it up. Just get more and more excited. All right, keep casting your eyes back and forth across the cards. There's another card there. Okay, it's a red 7. Look at that red 7. That's the 7 of diamonds. Hand me the 7 of diamonds. And then right over near that, I think there was another. There's a black card. There's a lower valued black card. It's like a 3, I think. There's a 3 of clubs. Hand me the 3 of clubs. And there's another 3 you were looking at when I said 3. It was a 3 of diamonds. Would you hand me that one as well, please? And what else you got? Oh, thank you. Oh, why not? Go ahead. Knock yourselves out. I'm just going to keep going. There's a couple red cards. There's a 4 of hearts I think you were looking at. Hand me the 4 of hearts. And, okay, another number card I'd love to see. No, go back. No, there's a 6. Yeah, look at that 6. Yeah. Because right before that, he keeps getting tempted away by one particular card. He keeps looking at the Ace of Spades, which arguably is the prettiest card in the deck. So go ahead and let's get that knocked out. Hand me the Ace of Spades. No Ace of Spades. Really? All right, get this man a drink. But yeah, there was a 6 of diamonds, I think. Hand me that 6 of diamonds we were looking at just a second ago. All right, look back and forth. I'm just going to go for a lot of these numbers cards because there's a couple of face cards in there. There's a couple. The face cards are a little fuzzier, so we're going to skip those for a moment. Go back to another number card. I think that was a 5 of hearts. Would you hand me the 5 of hearts? And then is that a 9? Black 9? Look at that. Just look at the whole card. Look at the whole face of the card. Okay, it's a 9 and it's spades. Hand me the 9 of spades. All right, and there's a couple more spades in there. Let's look at those. Couple more spades. I see. I can't tell if it's a 5 or a 6. Can't tell if it's a 5 or a 6. It's both. Hand me the 5 and the 6 of spades. All right, we got a couple left, I think. Is that a 9 or an 8? I'm gonna say 9 of hearts. Is that a 9 of hearts? Is there an 8 of hearts too? This is really throwing me off. So you've got what? 2 left? Are you out? I didn't think so. I'm like, because I kept seeing those queens and I've been avoiding those. Because they're picture cards. There's too much detail and not enough. Like this is pretty obvious. Like you could squint at that. You could take your glasses off and still probably tell what that was. But the face cards, they get a lot more fuzzier because they all look kind of the same. So you've got 2 left? Okay, I want you to just think of one of those. Okay, it gets a little tricky because he keeps going back and forth between the Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Clubs. The Queen of Hearts, just turn them both around. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. Appreciate it. So you get a little more interesting when you start putting these things together in very subtle and intriguing ways. Like I shouldn't be able to see what cards he was looking at, but somehow I could. The most beautiful thing about mentalism is it's personal, right? It has the ability to affect people on a level that a lot of regular magic just can't. You show somebody a cool card trick, they're like, cool card trick. You read their mind, and that's something that sticks with them. But I will say this. You can really affect people by doing mentalism. You can, there's a lot that you could really do with that, but with great power, did I turn this off? There it is. With great power comes great responsibility. One time I was out in New York City. I was walking around, I walked to Central Park, and I was talking to some people. They were trying to hustle me, and I thought, okay, we can play this game. And I said, hey, let me show you, I've seen what you do, let me show you what I do. And I was doing some magic for these people. Before I knew it, I had a whole crowd of people around me. And I got into some card tricks, things like that. I got into the mind reading. And I saw there was a woman there, and she kind of was standing close to me and just waiting patiently. And I could tell something was up, like something was going on. And I turned and I said, you have a question, don't you? Right? Of course she did. But I was trying to play it up, right? Look good. And she says, yes, can I talk to you in private? I know where this is going. So I had her think of the name of somebody. I said, this question relates to another person, right? And she said, yes, it does. I said, I want you to think of the name of this person. And I thought this is a nice way to get out of it because she was actually looking for like spiritual advice, which was something that I'm unbelievably unqualified to give. And so I revealed the name of the person that she was thinking of, and I figured that would be enough. And everybody in the room would be like, oh, this guy's legit. And she would be like, okay, cool, maybe you can tell me something. And then I would say, I know the question that's on your heart, but I can't see the answer right now. Right? It's not my fault, it's the Spirit's fault, right? See, it's the universe's fault. What a great out. I wish I could use that when my projects were late. But, and she came up to me and asked her question. And she's like, I need to know. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't see it. She says, I need to know. Is he cheating on me? And it was like, I was like, I don't want to get into the middle of this. And I had to back out and just, it was a trick. I have no idea. I think you should trust your heart. I don't know. And I've had other people, because people do take advantage of this. They use these things to take advantage of grieving people. Financial gain, all these different horrible, horrible things people do, and I don't want to go that route. Houdini actually spent the later part of his career trying to debunk all the mediums who were holding these seances, just basically preying on the hopes and desperation of grieving people. But one of the things I found, it's the only ever time I've ever done any kind of magic trick that has made somebody cry. It's happened a lot of times. I'll never forget when I was much, much younger. I told you in the beginning, started my career, house magician at TGI Fridays. That's right. Yeah, I got to keep my tips. And all the soda from the fountain I could drink. House magician at TGI Fridays. One day I'm walking around, I'm like, what table should I go to next? And I see one of the party tables in the corner. And there's a group of young women, 19, 20 years old. I was about that age. And I'm like, all right, well, I know what table I'm going to next. And I come up and I say, hey, I'm the magician. And they say, we love magic. I said, me too. We've got so much in common. And I did a couple card tricks. And at one point, the general manager walked by, did one of these. Like, you've been at that table an awfully long time. There are other guests in the restaurant. And I decided, all right, one more. My favorite trick. I do a little bit of mentalism. And I turned to one of the girls, the girl closest to me. And I said, think of somebody special to you. And she looked at me and says, uh-huh. And I said, you've seen this person recently, haven't you? And she said, uh-huh. I said, this person's not a member of your family, is it? And she says, nope. I said, I didn't think so. I said, but some of you've seen, but you know really well. I turned to all the other women at the table. I said, I think you know this person too, don't you? And they said, uh-huh. And I do this whole big reveal, and finally I get to the final reveal, the grand finale, and I say, all right, well, when you see her next, say hello from me to Jennifer. And I would slap the table like that because I wanted to startle them, jump, and just kind of like amplify that shriek, that scream that people get when you do something like that. And because most people freak out. If you've ever seen a Chris Angel TV special, that's what they do. They freak out, they scream, people run away when you do stuff like that. I mean, just imagine what that's like. This time, nothing. Not even a huh. Nothing. And I'm staring at her, I'm looking at her like, I know I got this right. Why are you not freaking out? And of course, again, composed. But in my mind, I'm screaming. Just then, a single, solitary tear rolls down her cheek. 10 seconds later, everybody on the table is crying. Because guess where they just came from? Yeah. You know, I perform now. I wander around. I go to events all over the world. And sometimes I do interactive magic. I walk up to people like, hi, my name's Michael. I'm the entertainment. I'm the magician. I hate magic. I used to wonder why. Like, what happened that you hate magic? Now I know. Me. Or somebody like me. I was so horrified. I didn't know what to do. You know, I'm a guy. I'm just standing there. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, do you want some water? You know, I don't know what to do. My manager walks by like, what did you do? I tried to style it out later. I was like, well, maybe the magic was just that good. He's like, I don't think so. Whatever trick, don't do that anymore. I didn't do that for years. That was version 1.0.0 of that trick. That was a full minor increment of my I semver my tricks. I don't know. I think that's a normal thing. So I had a full minor revision on that. I changed the script pretty significantly. And years later, I was in Humble, Texas, doing a house party, and I used my new script for that trick. Think of somebody special to you. 3 rules. First rule, somebody who's not here, right? Too easy. Second rule, and I said this, I said, somebody who's still alive. And I said this, and the woman just said, uh-huh. And just the pause really worried me, and I felt the hair stand up on the back of my neck. So I said, somebody you're going to see again soon. And she says, yeah. And if you think there's any way I could possibly know who you're thinking of, I want you to change your mind. I don't want you to think we set this up or anything else. And she's like, got it. Not changing my mind. I said, all right. And I said, did the whole reveal. I said, well, when you see her next, say hello from me to Wanda. And she started crying. And I'm just like, where did I go wrong? I'm like, in my mind, I'm replaying everything. I'm second-guessing every single thing I've done. And her husband turns to me. He says, you couldn't have known. How am I supposed to take that? The mind reader. You couldn't have known? So, I leave. He's like, I'll take care of this. I leave, and I come back later because I'm a little bit ticked off. And I walk up, and I said somebody who's still alive. And she looked at me and said, she's still alive. I said, somebody you're going to see soon. She's like, I'll see her again. That is so not what I meant. I get it, right? I believe that a person's beliefs are sacred, but come on. That was pretty clear. So I want to do it again. And I want to pick on somebody specific. There's somebody in this room who has no idea what's going to happen, but they know that they're going to get picked. And this entire night, they've probably been slightly on edge. Would you give Stephanie from Google a round of applause, please? She makes her way to the stage. I'll be nice. Were you nervous?
Yes.
All right. Good. But you understand kind of the premise now. You're not going to think of anybody who's passed away. Because I want to try this on you. So I promise you we did not set this up. In fact, she's been wondering all night what is about to happen. Nothing major. It probably won't hurt. Well, if you don't move, it won't hurt. Where's the lighter? I'm kidding. We get to that later. I have a notepad here. We're going to do like a big reveal here. By the way, nothing funny here. I usually make notes. Oh, look at this. Is the user happy? That's Isn't it crazy, by the way? So that's about a different talk that I give. But isn't it crazy that we talk about the user? There are only 2 industries in the entire world that refer to their customers as users. And we're the other one. We're going to do a big reveal at the end, so I really want to try this. I think this is going to be kind of fascinating. In fact, before I do anything, I'm going to write something down. Let's see here. So I'm just going to write here. Oh, you can probably see it on the camera. You can get zoomed. I don't want you to see what I've got here yet, because information in the present can change the future. All right. I miss the days when pens had a satisfying click. But I'm committed. So this goes in here. I'll just leave that there. And we'll get to that later. Fair? But I want you to think of somebody special to you. And don't let the camera see. There's no cameras around here, I promise. But I want you to write their name really big so we can show it to the camera at the end. And then when you're done, just tear the sheet off. And I'm going to look right at you, Mike. Because your job is to make sure I'm not like looking in reflections or anywhere else. That's right, just like that. Have you got it? Has she got it? Has she finished writing? Just first name's fine. Tear the sheet out.
I gotta do another one. I wrote the whole name.
That's okay. That's fine. If the whole name is fine, as long as it's all on there.
Okay.
This is going to go swimmingly. Here, I don't want to see. Tear that out, please. Tear it out. Crumble it up. That way I can't see it. We're going to unfold that at the end, kind of like we did with the... By the way, it doesn't bleed through. Oh, here, I'll show that to the camera. It doesn't bleed through. That's one of the questions everybody always asks me, especially engineers. They're like, oh, it bleeds through. Or if I had used a ballpoint pen, then I could just look like under the next page and it'd have that indentation on there. But it doesn't matter because I'm committed anyway, right? Before we started, I wrote something down. And also we used a dry erase pen instead of a ballpoint. And dry erase won't bleed through. That's why we didn't use the Sharpie. Not my first time performing for engineers. They're like, oh, it's a Sharpie, it bled through. But no, I'm committed anyway to what's in here. Now, this person you're thinking of, by the way, yeah, so it's somebody who's not here, I assume. Yes. Somebody who is still living, breathing on this ethereal plane. That was a minor increment in my versioning. It wasn't a breaking change, but it was an important one. And if you think there's any way I could have asked around, you don't think I could know who you're thinking of right now. Okay. Okay, this person you're thinking of, it's not a member of your family, is it? It is. I thought so, but I mean like close family. Yeah. Like there's a strong connection. There's a strong... picture the person standing here. Okay, you're picturing a man, is that correct? Male. Yes. Let me ask you this. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Do you have a son?
I do.
You wouldn't have to be thinking about your son, would you?
I am.
This is crazy. Before we started, who's got a loud voice in this room up close to the front? Matthew, you look like you're a man who can project. Do you mind coming up here? Read that out loud.
What do you think of Peter?
I'll take the pen. I'll take the pen. Ha! Yeah. It actually says, why did you think of Peter? But I have terrible handwriting. Is that the weirdest thing that's happened all week? Can you at least say that it is? Play along. I want to hear this story later. But give her one more round of applause, everybody. I just realized I've been looking at this countdown timer, and the countdown timer was set at an hour, and we started the quarter after. So I'm going to wrap this last piece up very, very quickly. You know, everything is an iteration. Like, you know, all of these things... You know, you start bad, you get better, you get things, and yeah, she's still thinking about it. So it can't be it can't be unweird. They're studying this and thinking about it right now. But everything is this. It's a journey. Every great magician started that as a bad magician. I aspire someday to be a great magician. But I'll settle for getting just a little bit better and a little bit better. And it's funny. The that really shape us are those horror stories, like having somebody burst into tears in the middle of your show. Right? That actually made me better. It made me think about things from a different perspective, everything else. I host a podcast. It's the No Fluff Just Stuff podcast. And we just had a Halloween episode that went up a couple days ago where we talked about developer horror stories. Everything from somebody pressing the big red button, unchecked RMRFs, to almost kind of sort of starting World War III. So, I mean, there's kind of a range of stories in there. But, I remember growing up, I wanted to be a full-time magician, for most of my life. I wanted that to be my career, to be able to write on my taxes, magician under occupation. I can, and it's kind of hollow now. But I thought it was more exciting than it really is. In fact, anytime I thought taxes would be more exciting than it really was. I may or may not have filed my 2016 taxes yet, I'm just saying. But it's this evolutionary process, and I remember that wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me as a performer. One of the worst things that ever happened to me was an idea that I had, speaking of taxes, trying to figure out how to make a little more money as a budding professional magician. I lived in England at the time, and I had two little dodges, two little ways to make a little bit of extra money. One of them was to upsell them on custom printed cards. Now, that had two advantages. I could charge them money, and I actually spent less on cards than I did when I was using regular cards. When I was using bicycle cards like you have and you have. I would get the cheapest cards. These didn't even have the plastic coating on them. They were just basically made out of cardboard, and I can run them through an inkjet printer. I mean, and let's be honest, it was my parents' inkjet printer, because who can afford that stuff? And I would print a logo on them, and I would charge them like 10 pounds a deck. And the other one that I would do to make a little more money was I would get them to pay me in cash. It's amazing what you can get away with if you tell people it's part of a magic trick. I fly at least twice a week, and every time I go through the TSA, they're like, wait, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's part of a magic trick. And they're like, oh, it's part of a magic trick. Oh, cool. So many things in my life. And later tonight, I'll tell you some of those stories. But I would say, what would you think about it? At this time, I was only doing close-up magic. And I said, what would you think if at the end of the night, I did one more trick for everybody in the room just to kind of finish the night off? And they said, that sounds great. What do we have to do? I said, just bring my fee in cash. And so that's what they did. They bring my fee in cash, and at the end of the night, and they were excited about it too, they go to the ATM, I'm part of the magic trick. But they would bring my fee in cash, and they would put it in one of 5 envelopes. And I'd always pick like the most wonderful, lovely, sweetest human being in the room to come up and help with this one. And I would put a blindfold on. The money would go in one of 5 envelopes, and then they get shuffled around, and one at a time, they would grow into a little bowl of fire until there were 2 left. And I made it big and dramatic. I'd be looking at the person. I'd say, pick up one of the envelopes. Okay? And I'd be blindfolded. I'd say, throw it in the fire. Now, now. And they'd throw it in the fire, and everybody's like, ooh, that could have been the money. And we would do it again and do it again until there were 2 left. And I would look at this other person, and I would say, there's 2 left. You have 1 in each hand. Take the envelope in your right hand. Throw it in the fire. Now, now. Sorry, my right, your left. And that's what everybody would do. They'd chuckle. And I'd hear that, and I'd rip the blindfold off, and I'd say, what did you just do? Because they'd be standing there sheepishly holding an envelope in their left hand. And this is where I learned some lessons about material and choice of material, and that not all laughs are good laughs. Because I reached into my jacket, and I pulled out a revolver. This is in England, by the way, which really freaks people out over there even more than over here. And I would just look, and I would say, you better not have screwed this up, or else. It wasn't a real gun. It was a prop gun. I got it from the theater department. I borrowed it. I'll give it back someday. I still have it. And I would say, you better not have screwed this up, or else. All the menace that 19-year-old me could muster. Better not have screwed this up, or else. Because I really need that money. Right, it was, I told you, it was a laugh, but it wasn't like a ha-ha laugh. It's like a, is this guy almost done laugh? And then I'd put the gun away. I'm like, it's probably fine. And I put the gun away. We open the envelope. There's the cash. I take my money and leave. Drive home. Before we had turn-by-turn directions on our iPhones, or even Google Maps was a thing, or even Google was a thing, this is how I'd get home. You see, when you're using the cheap cards don't fan nicely like the bicycle cards do. They don't have that finish. So you've got to fake it. You use something called fanning powder. It's a dry lubricant. It's basically zinc stearate, and you treat the cards with that, and they fan very nicely. And you can create all these nice little patterns with them. So they fan very nicely, and you just get it from the magic shop. They give it to you in little packets, enough for a couple decks. And I usually had several packets of this. So I want you to imagine I'm driving home that night, trying to read my directions, trying to navigate in England where the streets are windy. And you know how in the United States your street signs, they get reflective at night? In England, they turn black. I don't know what technology they use, but it's amazing. I'm trying to find my way back. They're all one-way streets. They're all windy. I'm very lost. I'm very confused. I'm looking too much here and not enough here, and I get pulled over. And I have a nice conversation with the constable. We talk about my fancy driving, and all of a sudden he stops talking and starts screaming at me. He pulls the car door open, pulls me out of the car, puts me in a joint lock, puts me in handcuffs. I'm bent over the hood of the car. I have no idea what has just happened. He says, "Sir, I'm going to search your vehicle." Okay. Is there anything I'm going to find? Is there anything I should know? I'm like, yeah, it's a mess. Sorry. He says, "Do you have any narcotics? Do you have any firearms?" I'm like, what? Oh, no. My briefcase was open on the passenger seat, and inside that briefcase was a pile of cash, little baggies of white powder, and a gun. And I'm on the hood, and I have a wave of realization hit me. I'm like, oh no, you don't understand. I'm a magician. And you see him do the double take, because they've heard it all, except that. You get the double take, he's like, finally he says this, "Magician, huh? All right, show me a trick." And I'm unhandcuffed, and I do a card trick, and it's a slightly obnoxious card trick. I had a bit of an obnoxious streak in my teens and early 20s, and I did this obnoxious trick, and he's like, "Back on the hood." It's a bonnet, actually, but it sounds better when they say back on the hood. "Back on the hood, back in the handcuffs," and I'm just like, what did I just do? I should not have done that trick. I should not have done that trick. And I'm there. By the way, if you've ever been in handcuffs over the hood of a car, it's super uncomfortable. Goes back to his car. He's watching me. He's got one foot in the door, one foot on the ground. He's got the radio. He's on the radio watching me, making sure that I don't move. A few minutes later, turns out he called for backup. A few minutes later, 2 more police cars show up. Come out, nightstick out. And he walks over. He says, "You called for backup?" He says, "Yeah." Walks over to me. "Show him what you just showed me." So there I was at 1 o'clock in the morning, standing in my headlights, doing a little show. But I did not get a ticket. Actually, 6 months later, they hired me for their Christmas party. But I do want to do one more thing before we run out of time, and I have to ask, in this room of legendary software engineers, developer rock stars, 10x programmers, who here in this room knows for a fact they have in their wallet, pocket, or purse a $100 bill? We got a couple. Here, stand up if you've got one. This way, everybody in the room knows who you are for later. Good, stand up. Stand up. Who's got the ball? Who's got the paper ball? Where is it at? I don't even know. Throw it to one of these people. It doesn't matter who. And if it gets close to somebody, then just figure somebody out. All right. Sir, come on down. Give him a round of applause. You got to iterate these things. You learn your lessons. You get handcuffed, spend 45 minutes handcuffed, you're like, okay, need to patch that one. Oh, thank you. Actually. So go ahead and grab that $100 bill. We're going to borrow that. That's right. And I'm going to get you to sign it, too. That way, if you ever see it again, we'll know it's yours. So, by the way, you work for Facebook. I guess the rumors are true. He was early, you know. I'll take the pen. Thank you for capping it. And we'll show this to the camera, by the way. I don't know if you can get a tight shot on that. There's TK is what he's got there. And then anybody, you got your phone on you, Ashish? Oh, it's out. Okay, come up here. He's already got it out. Hey, come over here, Jonathan. All right, so I got the signature there, the serial number there. So take a picture. All right. That way, if we ever see it again, we know it's the same bill. Try to do this fairly. So I iterated this a couple times. This is actually version 5.6.23.
Very
reassuring. Yeah, well, you know. Actually, we just did the patch tonight. Right before the presentation. It's the best time to make any major changes. 5.6.23. Version 3 is when I realized I shouldn't use my money. So there's your initials there, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll this up. I'm going to put it inside of an envelope. One of 3. There's still your initials right there. One of 3, because it turns out 5 is just too many. It takes too long, and we're running out of time anyway. By the way, Jonathan, why'd you put TK on there?
It's a J.
Oh, it's a J. Okay. Would you stick out your tongue, please? A little more. All right, thank you. So I'm going to number these in just a moment, but first let's mix these up. I hope you're paying attention, because I'm not. It's been a long day. All right, you can still, if I hold these up to the light, you can see there is something in all of them. One of these is your $100 bill. The other 2 are just paper. Oh, that's 1. 2, my pen's running out. 3. So I'm going to let him make all the decisions. It's his money. It's only fair. Sleeves up. Right, fair. Let him make all the decisions. Hand me one you think it's not. If we were hypothetically doing version 1.0.2 and we're throwing it in the bowl of fire, hand me the one you'd throw in the fire. A hypothetical fire, don't worry. And hand me another one, because we play process of elimination. All right. So this is the no pile. This is the no pile. Going into the hypothetical bowl of fire. Oh, wait, sorry, that word doesn't mean what I think it means. I mean the literal bowl of, well, it's not a bowl, so it's more of a, it's a good thing they turned off all those alarms, by the way. And this is beautiful. We don't know if we're burning the paper. We don't know if we're burning the money. I am burning my hands. All right, I should probably, I'll let that go for, no, that's sound. It's probably fine. Oh, I forgot to ask you, did you want to change your mind? No, too late now. All right, that's okay, open it up. This is really cool, because we're out of time. We got 3 minutes left, so we're just going to wrap this up. It's actually really cool. It's amazing, because I learned this, people are more motivated by what they stand to lose than what they stand to gain. So it's like subconsciously you never lose track of that $100 bill, especially because it's his 100. Seriously? No, seriously, come on. All right, well, we're over anyway, so give Jonathan a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the party. And my advice is to drink $100 worth of booze. Not only will you forget about it, you also get your money's worth. No, I don't want you to go home empty-handed. I've got this. I've got the box O Mystery that has been sitting conspicuously on the stage the entire night. Inside the box, there are 2 things. A plastic butter knife. It used to be a switchblade in version 4.6.11. Learned that one the hard way. How do you think I got that scar? And there's also a paper bag, taped shut. I want to give you one more shot, Jonathan. By the way, even with a plastic knife, you're still kind of holding that in a fairly threatening grip. Let's do this. We're going to play another game. Last time you kept 1. That was clearly the wrong one, so I'm going to mark this 2. Which one would you like?
That one or that one?
Oh, no, you want this one. There's only one. It doesn't matter. All right. I know. I'm making this more complicated than it has to be. Here, I'm going to peel that tape back. Go ahead, peel the last piece of tape back there. I would let you cut it, but that knife isn't going to cut anything. That's by design. Inside the paper bag is what appears to be an orange. Taken from the refreshment counter. By the way, Hari, great choice on all the refreshments. I want to applaud you on that. Yeah. My favorite were the nuts. The nuts were amazing. But I don't want to distract you from the task at hand here. So we've got a sealed, heavy-duty, double-sealed, in fact, paper bag, Ziploc bag. Would you, yeah, go ahead and open that up. And take the orange out. I really don't want to touch it, so just hold that like that.
Okay.
You're right-handed, I assume.
True.
And just start cutting down the middle of that orange. As fair as we can get it. About stop, just kind of keep going around the outside there. So just can't keep rotating it around. Yeah, that doesn't cut anything, does it?
Not very well, no.
All right, once you get back to the beginning, just hold it right there. All right, perfect. Don't move. Let's recap. Ladies and gentlemen, sealed inside the box that was conspicuously on the stage the entire presentation. Sealed inside the paper bag that was taped shut with packing tape. Sealed inside the heavy-duty freezer double-lock Ziploc bag. This is a brand bag, not generic. Sealed inside the orange that was sealed by God. What appears to be a soaking wet $100 bill. Here, I'll take those. Is that your $100 bill?
Sure looks like it.
Give him a round of applause. Jonathan, thank you so much for your help. Thank you all for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed the party keynote. Let's get to the actual party. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you.